to Wow Can Cook. Today we have another inflammation buster recipe, thanks to Dr. Gloria. So I will let her do the honors of explaining how she found it and what she did with it for you.
Wow. Good morning, good afternoon, whenever you're listening. This has been so much fun because, like I said yesterday or the other day on the video, I don't have to do the work. I just have to do all the work ahead of time. Then Tracy does it all. The mujadara, and I know I'm not pronouncing it right for all of you that are Middle Easterners or Arabic speaking members, but mujadara is something that I first was introduced to when I was in Spain, doing some work over there as a contractor, and I would go over to Morocco. And this is one of the main dishes of the Middle East. And from what I understand, it used to be called the poor man's meal because it only uses lentils and which can be any kind of lentil, by the way, and rice. And so there again, if you do not eat rice, I do when I make this kind of a dish, but I don't eat it usually. You can use quinoa, you can use wild rice, but Tracy's doing it the way the recipe is written, so we're using rice. The reason it's so good is that it's vegetarian. It doesn't have to be. For instance, if you have some rotisserie chicken, you can chop it up, shred it, put it in there. But it basically is a vegetarian dish that the common people use, and now it's a gourmet dish when the world discovered it. So it's Mujadara, pronounced my way, mujadara or mujadara, and you're going to pronounce it with a Latin accent. But it's delicious. So Tracy, you, I understand, cook the lentils ahead of time, right? In some broth?
Just like I was told to, Commander.
Okay, good job. So she cooked the lentils. You can soak them. I always soak them because I don't want to sit there and wait for them to get soft in the dish. So I always soak my rice and my lentils ahead of time. You don't have to soak lentils. It's not like written in stone. But cook them just like you would rice, like you were cooking just lentils by themselves in a nice chicken broth or vegetarian broth. Which broth did you use? Did you use the concentrate,
So
the
here's
reduction
exactly what I
sauce?
did. I took 1 cup of lentils and I soaked them in water overnight. And then this morning I woke up and I made this broth. I used 1 ounce of this concentrate with 2 cups of hot water as per their directions.
Okay, fair enough. So for those of you that have hypertension or are retaining fluid and don't want that much salt, because it is a reduction sauce. So a reduction sauce, which I love, is it's if you cooked the chicken broth for hours and hours and hours until it reduces to about half of the original quantity. That's what this is. And it's phenomenal. It's made by a US company with an old European French recipe. So if you want to cut down on salt, try it the way the recipe is first, and then cut it down. If it gets to be too much, you can always add more water. So you've already cooked the lentils and you strained them, right?
Yes.
Okay, so everybody knows, hopefully, what lentils look like when they're cooked. Now you're going to do, in a large pan, would you put your stove on medium high or high, depending on how your stove is? Mine can't go medium high without it won't brown my onions. I have to go high. So every stove's a little different. Is yours propane or natural gas?
Natural gas.
Okay, that works better. So if you're using natural gas, it's going to cook much better. If you use a heavy bottom pan, I like for browning especially, I like cast iron. You have ironclad, which is great because it's a thick bottom. It's a nice thick stainless steel. So you need to start warming that while you slice your onions. You're going to slice onions like paper thin.
Okay, so 1/4 cup of avocado oil.
Right, or coconut oil. Okay. And remember, everyone, that coconut oil can have a little bit of a taste. Some people don't like it. I don't mind it. I don't even taste it anymore. But avocado oil is what we call a natural neutral oil. In other words, it takes on the flavors of anything that it's cooked with. So it doesn't have a flavor of its own per se. So that's why it's nice to use the avocado oil when you can. I want to say something else, Tracy, that our members may not know. Go ahead and get that heated. while we're talking here so that we can then put in the onions, and we have to cook them until they're a dark brown, but not burnt. The secret to mujadara is that you want that deep richness of an onion that's been really caramelized. Caramelized just means you're going to cook the heck out of it until it's crispy, but not burnt. What I want to say is a lot of people tell me, well, why can't I use olive oil if it's a good quality? You can. However, remember that studies have proven that when you heat olive oil to the temperature that you could fry an egg, it can become carcinogenic, meaning it can cause other issues, including cancer. So I never use olive oil for cooking unless it's just something real quick that I'm going to mix or I'm going to reheat and it needs like pasta, for instance. If I was cooking pasta and it was leftover, I would add a little bit of olive oil, but it doesn't really get hot. It's just enough to warm it. Olive oil was really meant to be used to sprinkle on pasta after it's cooked, almost like you would butter, or to put it on salads and use for salad dressings, that type of thing. So that's why we don't use it for frying, in case you're wondering. So your skillet is on. You've got your onions chopped. Okay, you're going to put them in there until they're really dark golden brown, until they are literally caramelized. Okay, so you'll have to keep stirring them. Do you have a camera over there?
Yep.
Yep. Good student. Wow. Okay, so it might take a little longer than we really want it to. On your stove, it'll be quicker. I'm in a temporary place. The kitchen behind me is the one I'm designing for my house. But right now I have an electric stove, which I absolutely despise, and it doesn't cook with a darn. So I have to sit there for 40 minutes to caramelize onions. You shouldn't have to with natural gas or propane. So go ahead and stir them, put it a little higher if you have to get it going. Don't salt it yet because you want to make sure that that broth isn't too salty for your dietary needs or for your taste.
Okay, well, that's browning. Is there something else we can do?
Yeah, well, that's browning. Actually, you can actually, after it browns, then you're going to add, that's what takes time. The recipe is only 2 main ingredients. So as far as the rice and the lentils, but the point is that those have to be caramelized if you want to, then you add the lentils that you've already drained. You soaked them and drained them. So it's all a one dish meal. Okay. So I don't know how we're going to do that on a live show because I don't want to have to wait till they're caramelized, but I wanted people to see what caramelization looks like. So if you can put the fire up a little bit and get us showing what a caramelized onion looks like, it's got to be a darker brown.
This is caramelized.
Okay, go ahead and add the lentils that you already soaked and cooked and drained, right?
Yep.
That's why I'm saying it's really a dump dish. It's one casserole. Okay, and stir it up good so that you get it blended. And now you have rice that you've already cooked, correct?
Yep.
Okay, stir in the rice. There's nothing magical about how to do this. The magic is you've got to get those onions caramelized. You have to, because if you just get them where they're transparent and like you would for anything else, it's not going to taste the same. Those little tricks are things that I hope to impart upon all of you so that you'll go, wow, you're right, this is good. And I've had patients actually do it without caramelizing, just, sauteing them when they're transparent. And then they do a dish with the caramelizing and they say, yeah, you're right, it's a whole different dish. Chicken curry is the same way when I get to that recipe. You have to caramelize the onions. Okay, is it mixing good?
Chicken curry. Love it. Chicken curry is one of my favorites.
Love it. Well, I have a fabulous chicken curry recipe that I created with no nightshades, but it's still real spicy, which I love.
Do that next week.
I don't want curry. Next week, I've already got my schedule. Sorry. Okay, so now you've done all of that. You poured the rice in and the lentils. Now add a dash of, actually add your black pepper and your cumin. You've already got it mentioned. Black pepper is going to be depending how hot you want it. You, like me, like it spicy. So just add a good amount of black pepper. And yeah, I was going to say, don't pour it like you did the cayenne for your family. Make sure that you
I
Yeah, I
learned.
put a lot of black pepper, and I even you taught me to put the black pepper in my daily golden milk drink. And one day I forgot it, and it doesn't taste the same. It really makes a difference. Do people understand why you put the pepper? I can share that with them.
Yeah, it activates the turmeric.
It activates a turmeric. You're absolutely right, but it also opens up the cells so that everything that you're eating with it is absorbed better. And I didn't know that until I did some research. So black
Oh,
pepper, I kept wondering why I was craving black pepper all the time. And that only happened after COVID. And I always use pepper, but very lightly. Now I've got a spoon, like a little salt spoon that I actually put in a lot of. And when I read the research, it's like, aha, my body is lacking something. And that's satisfying that need. It's opening up the cells so that you get more nutrition. Okay, you got it all mixed in?
got pepper,
Okay.
cumin, rice, lentils, and onions.
Right. And all you're going to do now is you're going to add a little bit more broth. Do you have a little bit more broth?
Yeah, right here.
Yep. Okay. Add the broth. Now your lentils and all that are already cooked, so you're not going to add
Everything's
as much
cooked.
broth. Okay. Don't add as much broth because that would be if people were not going to cook them. If they were just going to soak the rice and the lentils, you add the whole amount of broth. You've already cooked them. So now just cover it, slow simmer it, and it's delicious. Then you're going to garnish it when it's done. So that's when the real crispy fried onions come in that you slice. So you can do that while it's cooking.
Okay, I wanted to actually talk about the thinly sliced onions a little bit. I have this amazing handy dandy mandolin, which I absolutely
Yep.
love. I use it all the time. And the reason I
So do
started
I.
using it now is because I got a glove. I didn't use it
That's
for a
right.
long time. And then I got this glove to protect my hands from getting cut because I have had a bad cut from a mandolin. So
So have I. Yeah, it's scary. I have
very
that one,
scary.
and I have one that's a little bigger even. That's a Japanese one, and we only use the glove when we use it. So don't try to use a mandolin without a glove. Tracy's absolutely right. I've had people that almost cut off their finger without the glove. A little piece of onion or carrot or something gets stuck in there, and they kind of go in there, and it's that sharp. That's what a mandolin's supposed to do, but always with the glove on.
So then
Okay.
I'm going to brown them. So I'm going to get a cast iron pan.
Yeah, you're going to make them real crispy. That's your topping for the mujadara.
And what do I brown them in? More avocado oil?
Yeah, you can use coconut oil or avocado oil, whatever you want. Yeah.
When I use my mandolin, I cut the onion in half and I put the flat side up against the wall of the mandolin so that it
Okay.
cuts even.
Right. And you never take your eyes off of it when you're doing it. Because that can literally cut your fingers off. You want them really thin, paper thin, so that they, crunch up and shrivel up and become a true crispy onion.
Okay, I just made it thinner.
Okay, try it and see if you've got a paper thin slice.
Oh, I do. Look at that.
Yep, that's exactly how mine are. So that's what you want. So go ahead and finish that. And in the meantime, is our oil heating?
No.
No.
I'm throwing
This is a live
banana.
show. This is a live show. So when I'm trying to remote control cook, you just have to laugh with us because this is live TV, so to speak.
We are here to show you members that if I can do it, you can do it. Now,
do it.
Dr. Gloria is a professional. I am an amateur and I didn't like cooking for a very long time, but I am loving cooking now. But Tracy likes to wing it all the time, as I'm sure you've seen in our previous episode, but not today.
Not today.
Dr.
I
Mom.
wing it. I'll be honest. No, I'll be honest. I wing it, but only because I've teach, cooking and cook so much that, but the first time I do a recipe, when I'm testing it or I'm adapting one, I always do it exactly as written because then you can adjust it. Otherwise you screw up and then you think, oh, I don't want that again. It was too much work and it doesn't taste good. Okay, where are you? You've got them
Well,
in the
usually it's
skillet?
not on purpose. Usually when I'm winging
No.
it, it's not on purpose.
Okay. Oh, you mean like that other episode?
Yes.
She's referring to the other episode, and we're not going to give it away. You'll just have to laugh with us and enjoy it, and enjoy the fact that all of us screw up, including me, of course, all the time. Okay, so now all you're going to do is let those fry to the point where they're really crispy. Get some tongs or something so that you can keep moving them. When they're paper thin, like that last batch that you did, they really will get shriveled up and crispy. So what you're going to do then is you're going to serve the mujadara. Then when it's cooked, when all that is really soft and the broth is absorbed, then you'll garnish them with the crispy onions and you have your you have cilantro or parsley.
You told me to give parsley and I chopped
Okay.
some and I have some for garnish. Both.
Okay, perfect. So now go ahead and add the first bunch, whatever one you want, into the pan now and stir it, the one that's cooking with the mujadara. You don't want to put it in right in the beginning because anytime you use like cilantro or parsley, it should be towards the end of the cooking cycle, not in the beginning. Unlike if you're using, cumin or rosemary or thyme or marjoram or something else, you want it in the beginning so that it absorbs all that, so that the flavors blend. But when you're using a green like cilantro and parsley, put it in at the end. Is it cooking? Is it absorbing the liquid?
Yeah, it's cooking. I just added the parsley.
Parsley. Okay. And you cover it up again so it can cook and steam, so that the mujadara continues to cook and absorb all the flavors. Now, the nice thing about this recipe is it only has one spice, right? It just has cumin. And once you get that flavor, that desire for cumin, you're going to really enjoy it more and more when I give you more recipes, because I'm even going to show you and give you a recipe for making your own curry powder, which is really not curry, it's garam masala, which is the blend of spices that Indian people use and a lot of Middle Easterners, and it's their own blend. So there's as many recipes as there are people, but there's a basic. So I have one that I perfected that I like, and I will give that to you when we do the chicken curry. Okay, and I might sneak it to you earlier, Tracy, since you're craving my chicken curry.
I have
Okay,
some
so
garam masala. I have it like in a container already.
garam masala. Okay, usually garam masala, it's masala. I used to say marsala, but it's masala. It doesn't have an R. Garam masala usually does not have like cayenne pepper or pepper flakes. Curry does. That's the difference. People don't understand. They think it's all just Indian spices. No. So you can use a store-bought garam masala if it doesn't have inflammatory spices, and then we can doctor it. You don't have to make it from scratch. I make it like you and I do our blend for our fabulous. I mean, I'm totally addicted to your golden milk. And so I have it, a whole 2-cup canister full of it. I do the same thing with any spices that I use a lot of, like the curry spices or the Indian spices, because I make a lot of dishes with them. And it's easier than having to measure everything out separately. Just make it, after you start getting used to using them, make a bigger batch of it. It'll last for a good year if you keep it airtight and in a dark cupboard like you do. Not sitting out on your counter in some fancy dispenser, because the air and the light is getting to it. Okay, so how are your onions crisping up?
They're coming along nicely.
Okay, and how is the rice and the lentils doing? Are they soft yet? Have you given it a taste test to see if they're soft?
No, but I
Because the
will.
lentils, okay, would you do that? Make sure you stir it good so that you can tell how the salt is, and if you want more pepper for spiciness. Another thing that we can use for spiciness is white pepper. It's very hot, but I don't like it in Middle Eastern dishes. I like it in certain dishes, but not this one. How are the flavors? How is the blend? It needs salt. Okay. That's because you didn't put in the whole broth.
And this is Celtic sea salt. I rotate
the best
salts. Right now I'm using Celtic sea salt.
I do too. I do too. Celtic, pink, Himalayan. I'll have to tell you a quick story here, Tracy. When I did all of my travels, and I told you the other day, I shared with everybody that I always took a cooking class if I was in a different foreign country. In a different country, of course, it was foreign. And the other thing I collected whenever I could was salts. So when I went to Hawaii, it was the black lava salt. When I went to the Turks and Caicos, they have a salt mine there that their salt is completely different. So I would collect salt, and you should have seen the comments of me coming through customs. I mean, they were like, "You're bringing salt?" And I'd have to explain that I'm a cook and that I use different salts. I rotate them, and each one has a different flavor. So you can actually buy, I think the place is in Oregon, if it's still there, you can buy little salt dishes. I don't know if you've ever tried it, in glass, little wells.
Those.
And you can buy the huh?
I have them. They're
You
called
have
salt
those?
cellars.
Yeah, but this is all connected.
Oh.
This is a glass one all connected with several salt cellars, wells, and the little spoons. And you can buy all these different salts and then just put a little label on each one when you have guests, and they can taste the difference. So when I did a cooking class, I broiled some salmon with nothing but salt and pepper and very little salt, so that, because when you're cooking, you want the salt to penetrate, okay? You don't want to put it on at the end. It just sits there. It doesn't melt. And then I gave everybody that little dish in the center of the table and said, now take a bite of the salmon with each one and tell me. And they loved every one of them, but they said, my goodness, it tastes so different. The same fish with the different salts. So then if you find one you really like, you use that salt next time. But remember, don't salt things at the end unless you have to, because it doesn't penetrate. You notice that? It just sits on the food. Yeah. How is it? It's got more. Did you put enough salt?
Yeah, I put more salt. The onions are almost done. So I'm going to get a little thing to plate it.
Okay, but make sure that the onions are crispy. I haven't seen you stir them too much, so want to make sure that they're crispy all the way around. Let's remind our members that if you had used the entire amount of chicken broth, in this case, because it was a concentrate, you use the whole amount. It's saltier. But that's if you don't cook the lentils and the rice ahead of time. So if you wanted a one dish meal, you just want to soak them the night before. You get home from work, you want to throw everything together, put in the whole amount of chicken broth, cover it, do exactly as Tracy just did, and it'll cook. But it'll take about 30 to 45 minutes in order for the rice and the lentils to get soft. But if you soak the night before, you just dump. You just dump everything together, throw in your broth, put in your cumin, cover it. It's as easy as that. And then you put in you can use cilantro if you like. This particular recipe, I used parsley, but you can swap it. And then you just garnish it and you're done. It's that simple. It's not hard. We're just having fun with it. And we don't have 5 cameras and a camera crew. So we're working here on our limited resources, but that'll change soon. How are your onions doing, dear?
They're looking good. They're getting dark.
Are they getting dark? Move them around a little bit, because you don't want them just sitting, so that they get brown all around and get crispy. Are they brown enough to look like crispy onions?
Some of them are.
Okay, because they really need to be, if you're going to garnish with them, they need to be really crispy. And because you used avocado oil, as long as you kind of pick it up with your tongs and kind of, swish them a little bit to get the excess oil off, you may not have to drain them. If they are real greasy, then just get a paper towel and drain them on a plate before you put them on top. And usually they'll crisp up as well when they cool down. When they're hot, they're not going to be as crispy, okay?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes, they look like they're not crispy, but once they dry, they become like a potato chip. I mean, they're really crispy. But that's why you have to get them good and brown. Then I put them on a paper towel on a plate, and by the time that I'm setting the table or doing something else or making a salad, for instance, then you've got crispy onions to garnish, okay?
Okay. So I'll go
what are you
ahead
gonna
and
drink?
take some out and put them on a paper towel right now.
Okay. Yeah, they look like they did from the little bit I can see here.
There you
Yeah, they're
go.
nice and brown. That's what you want. You want them really brown.
Now I
Okay, so
love
plate
this
your.
kind of stuff.
Oh, I know they're yummy when they're that way, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
Mm. And see the difference? If you had taken them out when they weren't brown, the flavor changes the same as with your dish. If you don't make them real brown, that's how brown they should be when you brown your onions for your mujadara. Okay, they should be. Stop eating them. You've got to plate it.
Okay, now I'm gonna
Okay.
plate.
I want to see the consistency.
All
Hopefully your
right,
phone cooled down.
here we go.
Okay, hard to see, but go ahead and plate it. We'll be able to see it better.
I'll bring it
There
forward.
you go. Okay.
Two
So
more of
this is
this.
really it's a full meal, remember. So if you wanted to serve a little salad with it, in the Middle Eastern restaurants that I've eaten, they use a little cucumber salad, like with a little bit of sweetener and a little bit of rice vinegar. That's all they do, or maybe a few little carrots that are shredded, much like the Chinese people do. And Japanese, because they're known for their little cucumber salads. There you go.
Okay.
Okay.
It's kind of
Okay,
hot.
so now,
So
well,
this
be careful.
like
Okay.
they do a good enough job.
And yes, you did a great job. You might want to chop that parsley real small to garnish with it. But I don't like it in big pieces, but if you do, it's okay.
Well, I already have a whole bunch of chopped parsley in the dish. So,
Yeah, so you don't have to put if you don't want. Now, is it really blended? Good flavors?
It is excellent.
See, and you only used one spice. You used cumin. That's all you used, other than a little salt and pepper.
Salt, pepper, cumin.
It doesn't. Yeah, that's all you used as a spice, and look at how it changes it.
I love cumin.
Now, I do too. You asked something about could you use like riced cauliflower? I've made it with rice cauliflower and lentils. You do eat lentils, right? I know that your diet is very different than most of ours, but you do eat lentils. So you can try it because it's the spices and the broth and the way that you saute the onions that make it the special dish that it is. So try it and let us know. Because I've made it with it. Actually, I made it, I'll have to admit, one day because I didn't have any quinoa or brown rice. That's the only, I won't eat white rice because it's too high in carb and sugar. And it was delicious. I just had some frozen rice cauliflower and I just made it for myself and it was really good. But I like it juicier, so I usually put in a little more broth. Is it tasty?
It's delicious, but I like it just this way. And normally I don't eat lentils.
Oh, okay.
I just usually eat protein and vegetables, but
I know.
if I was to choose a carbohydrate that's more of a complex carbohydrate, lentils would be at the top of the list with sweet potatoes.
Okay, I agree. How about chickpeas? Because you can add chickpeas to this and it changes it completely.
So I don't usually
eat chickpeas?
I don't eat any of that stuff typically, but now that I'm getting coaching from you, from Dr. Mom.
Dr. Mom here is saying you're not eating the right way. You're eating too much protein and you're an athlete, so you're burning it up. Let's watch it. So, but I take my hat off to you. I don't have it on, for the dedication to your fitness. But I want to make sure that you're just as healthy inside as you are outside, my dear. So yummy, even though it's got rice.
It is.
Okay, so it is very good. Well, I hope all of you enjoy it as much as Tracy is enjoying it, as much as I do. But get creative. I mean, again, I had a patient that said she had, like Tracy has, an abundance of some of her vegetables. In the spring, she had an abundance of baby asparagus, which I love. I don't like big asparagus. And so she asked me, she sent me an email and she said, can I put in asparagus? I said, of course you can. So she chopped them all up in little pieces, a little itty, you know which ones I mean, the real tender ones. And she said it was the best mujadara she'd ever made. So all you need to do is get creative, but make it the way it is originally so that you know what it's supposed to taste like. And adding something like asparagus or even spinach or chard is not going to change it that much because it's the basis of how you do the onions and the cumin. That's what gives it its flavor. And you wouldn't think using just one spice would make such a dish so unique, but it does, doesn't it? You wouldn't think it's just one spice. Yeah, wait till I get to the ones that use 7 or 8 spices. But this one is very simple. We're trying to keep it simple in the beginning. But I promise you, we will do the chicken curry with my recipe for my spice blend for my Middle Eastern, or not Middle Eastern, but Indian food.
Awesome.
Okay. Thank you for being a good sport. And I'm sorry you melted your phone. Did it come back to life?
Yeah.
It did? Okay. All right. So let's not put a phone. If you want to tape it, don't put a phone over the stove like she did. We'll have to get a good camera that's on a stand so that you can have one over the stove. Okay.
All right.
And as soon as my kitchen is done and I can get a real kitchen, not a make believe one like I have now, we'll be doing it back and forth. Each one of us can do one so that we have a little break. Thank you, Tracy. Thank you, everyone. And remember the trick. The onions in the mujadara is what makes it. Okay? How you treat those onions. And I start everything with onions and garlic, just about. So this is just a little different twist on how you do onions. Any questions or comments, Tracy?
I think it was delicious. Thank you so much. We had a great show, and for everyone watching, we appreciate you so much. A printed recipe will be at the link below the video, and we'll see you on the next episode.